All right, guys, so it's in. It fits. It's crazy seeing this huge engine inside of my engine bay. But let's get on with the updates. So the engine mount did work. The old Chevy Cruze bracket with the insert from the Chevy Impala. I had to wedge some right here and wedge some over here and a little over there, kind of get everything kind of lined up so I can get the bolts in, but it went in and went in good. The front engine mount, it bolts right up, no problems. Everything lines right up like it's supposed to. Same thing with the rear. I would recommend to take the rear motor mount bracket off of the engine before you drop it in, because that was a royal pain in the butt to get to stab into there. But lesson learned. I did go ahead and put the battery box in and the fuse box. I almost have all mounted up. I've got the bracket for it mounted in. I apologize for not showing you what I did, but I'll try to describe for you what I did with the transmission mount. I actually still have the factory Chevy Cruze engine mount bolted to the Impala transmission. And it's kind of janky, but it works. This is the transmission mount that's supposed to go with it, but I didn't cut it out and do all the stuff that I was going to do just yet. It was kind of a halfway point. I just, I wonder if I could do that, and I did. So it's only held in by 2 instead of 3 bolts. If this were the Chevy Cruze insert, it's supposed to be flush all the way up against here, kind of like how that one's flush all the way up against there. But as of right now, it's not. It's about maybe almost halfway, and it's pushed over just a little bit. I had to kind of force it over, but I was able to get 2 bolts in, and it's bolted to the transmission. So that's a win for right now. It may suck, and I may end up still having to change some stuff around, but regardless, it's in. It's not going to fall out or anything like that. The factory linkage does bolt up. Let's see if I can get some light on that for you guys. It clips in, all that good stuff. I did have to tug on the wire just a little bit, on the cable, sorry, to get it to go in, to reach around over there, but that was fine. There is a transmission, there is a mount for the battery box. It's about yay wide, and it kind of comes up and turns and goes this way, and it's got a bolt hole on it for the battery box, where it kind of curves and goes up and flattens out. I had to kind of trim that out into more of a square because the transmission would not go all the way into there without trimming it. So I currently have left that bracket on, but it's literally like a 1/4 inch away from the transmission right now. So I may still have to cut that off, but I wanted to try to keep it so I could have the battery box mounted in proper. The heater hoses and all that stuff I have not hooked up yet. See all the little red caps on everything. The Chevy Cruze heater hose, one of them I think will work fine. I may have to trim it a little bit, but the other one will not, because on the Chevy Cruze you've got one that runs from over here, hooks up to the heater core, and then runs back around over here, which we don't have on this Chevy Impala. The Impala on this side is strictly the radiator hose. All the heater hoses hook over here, so I may end up snagging one specifically for an Impala, just so I'll have that extra one to run over to this side. But then you've got so basically the 2 heater hoses that come in, and then you've got an additional one that runs to the reservoir, and then the top one of the reservoir running back down, and then you got your lower radiator hose over here. So either way, that's all said and done. Let's see what else I've got. Don't have the front of the car back together just yet, because I'm waiting on the exhaust manifolds or catalytic converters for the front and rear, and it would just be way easier just to bolt it on once I get it. It's supposed to be in a couple of days. It is coming in from Canada, which I was like, oh my gosh, but I got it stupid cheap. I just needed piping for right now. They may not last at all. There was no warranty on them. That's okay. I just need piping. I got a Y pipe without the rear converter on it. That one's not monitored anyway, so it's no big deal. But the ones with the converters on them were ranged anywhere from like $600 to $800, and I was like, good grief. I ended up finding this Y pipe for like 80, 90 bucks. And it's just, I'll figure out a way to rig it up onto the car. But, so that was a major win there. As far as the wiring goes, I'm just about done with all the wiring. I've got a couple extra wires I still need to wire in and get the cooling fans wired in. I'm not going to really go over how I did all of this. There's not a whole lot that I had to do, but there is some, and I don't want to steer anybody wrong depending on the year models that you go with, whether it be a, mine's technically a 2016 Impala and a 2012 Chevy Cruze. But for 2013 or 2014, there's different things that do different ways sometimes with the cars, and I don't want you to break out a control module because you thought this wire went there. So if you're good with wiring, I'd go ahead, you're good with the job. If you're not good with wiring, that's going to be very, very, very difficult for you. It's going to be a lot to learn. For the most part, everything bolted up, but you've got simple things like on the Impala for the fuse box, I think it was the sunroof power out, your 12 volt ignition power is in the same spot for the 12 volt for the canister valve in the back of the car. So the little things like that you kind of have to try to get switched around. So if you do have a problem later on and you're trying to search your fuses, you'll know what fuses to actually look for rather than just randomly trying to pull fuses in hopes that you can find things. The other issue that I have come across, the other guy that had put the engine in that I had been in contact with said he was having problems. One, he had problems with his fuel tank. His level sensor was not showing up on the gauges anymore, which I'm curious to see how mine's going to do. And the air conditioning didn't work, but he really didn't care. He wanted it more just kind of a race application. These will run in a standalone system. So like I said, with the wiring, you don't have to be good with the wiring. You could just have it do its thing, but you're not going to get any communication. You're going to have warning lights out the wazoo. That's not going to be a normal daily driver. But as far as the air conditioning goes, on the Chevy Cruze, the engine computer tells the compressor to come on. On the Impala, the engine computer does not tell the compressor to come on. It's controlled by the HVAC module inside the car. So that kind of sucks. I did buy an HVAC module specific to this car. Specific to the Impala that I got this out of. There's a few different options on them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wire it up. It does look almost exactly the same, but the issue is the Impala, like this has manual AC stuff. I mean, it's just kind of, just basic. The Impala had dual climate control, automatic temp, all that stuff. So it may not work at all. It may throw warnings that, hey, I don't see the extra blend door. I don't see the extra temperature sensor, whatever, and it may not work, but I'm going to attempt it. If that doesn't work, the compressor clutch pretty much stays on all the time, and then you got a variable valve on the back of it that'll actually regulate your pressures and stuff. The compressor does cut off and on when you hit full throttle, things of that nature, or if it sees it too high of a pressure. So, basic, I could just wire 12 volts to it, like a switch inside. I just flip and I've got air conditioning, but I run chance of damaging the compressor. So I may end up teeing off of one of the pressure line up here, see if I can figure out a way to at least give it some sort of a backup. If the head pressure gets too high, it'll cut itself off. But either way, that's the update for everything. I think that's pretty much it. So we'll try to get this thing running here pretty soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.